Vuyi, what an honor to sit in this space with you today. I know we've been talking about this for quite some time. Welcome. It's 7 p.m. You're coming from Cape Town, South Africa,
I'm
correct?
actually in Johannesburg, but yeah, it is 7 p.m.
Thank you. So to my community, I wanted to share a story. I was on Instagram one day, and I think it was when I had COVID, so I was resting, which is unusual for me. And one of your one of your posts came up on my Instagram feed as things I may like. And I'm not super savvy with Instagram. I'm not on that often, but there was a photo that you posted. And when I saw that photo, my whole body got chills. Like I felt a vibration. And in that photo, I there was such a depth to it. And for me, I felt like I could feel the movement of the action of whoever, who that was taking of. I'm going to show the photo and notice her hand on the book. So this photo gave me chills. And when I work with women, I describe chills as chills are truth. When our body resonates and responds that way, it's because there's some deep truth to something that we're seeing, or that is being presented, or that is being said. And so after seeing this photo, I reached out to you and I said, tell me more about this photo. And you said, it's me. And then we had this exchange, and it's been so lovely. I feel like in a very short time, you've been a deep teacher for me. And to connect with someone halfway across the world through a photo, talk about the power of art. So I thank you for your trust in being here. And we'll share more about what has evolved during our time together. But yes, thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm laughing in my head when you say connected through art and algorithms. So
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. I know for a fact that healing happens in community, and it's not by chance that the South, down South where I am in the North, kind of dancing together, because we need to kind of our energies to meet in the middle for us to heal as a collective. I can't see everyone, which is it's fine. I can feel you, but I wish I could see you. And I'm glad you chose this option of having everyone be here, despite it being a podcast. I think it's powerful that. Hello, Tando. Yeah.
So when we met over Instagram, I realized that you had a TED Talk, and the title was "Don't Die with the Song Still in Your Heart." Can you share a little bit more about your journey, and now what I see it as part of your inspired mission and your gifts that you're sharing with the people of the world?
I used to really struggle with that question, because we have so many stories inside us, but a lot of our stories we kind of forget, we neglect, we repress, or we shun and we judge. And I'll tell you a bit about how the TEDx talk happened, because it happened within a couple of days. it wasn't scheduled to happen. But now when I think about that question, I think about the beginning, because a lot of the times we kind of see ourselves as, now that we're adults, that's the only story that matters. But like the womb and like, the sacred circle. So my favorite shape is the circle is very important to it. When you think of Uronda, which is like a traditional heart, or Ikambi, or the frame drum, but if you just think about the significance of the circle,
Mm-hmm.
But so in thinking about the circle, I think about how I have to start my story from when I was a child and bring it back to now. Otherwise, I'm cheating myself and my story and my truth. So I was born and bred in Soweto, which is if you know, some of you know the history of South Africa, but it's a township in Johannesburg, and we moved out of Soweto quite young. We were 7 and we moved to the very isolating suburbs where there were very few people that looked like me, and into a reality that was completely different from where I had come from, where every mama in the street is your mother, where there's a sense of freedom, there's a sense of openness, there's a sense of community, and community not in the way that we use it these days as a sort of hashtag or concept that doesn't move beyond the head. And so moving then to this place that I didn't know how to interact with, especially as a child, and my parents didn't kind of give me the navigation tools or the language to explain that this is what has just happened to you. Moved from here to here, and then unpacking and just discussing, what that does to a child.
Yeah.
And so I bring that up as well because I was 7, but a lot of us, if we look back at age 7, a lot of us had quite an intense or profound shift, whether it's moving schools or parents divorcing, but it's an important kind of age to look at. So just parking that there, whoever wants to take it home. So yeah, then I mentioned this because it was my first story, my first trauma. We often think that trauma needs to be something quite dramatic or violent, but it was my first trauma because it was the first kind of experience that changed me and that reduced my voice. And that, when you start to become kind of alien to your own self and you retreat from the world, that was what that experience felt like. Yeah. And then, we adjust as we do because children are also resilient, and life went about and we adjusted. It was only my adult years that I reflect back on what those two experiences felt like, positively and negatively, because there's reasons why we have the experiences that we have. Maybe if I'd stayed in Soweto, I wouldn't have been able to have this conversation with you. I don't know. And then, life went on, and my songs were drama and writing, and I kind of had my own. I followed my intuition, and I was a very self-satisfied child. I like to create, and I just had my own world. Went to high school, and then again, it's living within these spaces that are foreign, but you don't know that that's what it is when you're in it. And we went to the kind of schools where we weren't allowed to speak our home languages, so we would get into trouble and punished for speaking our mother tongue, which again is also another kind of these traumas that we experience. And I keep marking them because I'm trying maybe to connect us to our own, to help us think about what might have been a significant, something that has impacted us quite significantly that we might not think was significant.
Sure.
And then, so in high school, I'm in high school now and starting to like boys, but I was a little bit of a late bloomer, and we lived in the times where a 15-year-old was still a 15-year-old. We were children. But then like boys, and there was a boy that I liked. And so I just want to say that what I'm about to say is a bit sensitive for those, like a trigger warning for anyone who might have been in the same experience. And then at age 15, I experienced a sexual violation. And that was my first experience as well. I'm sharing this because a majority of the women that I work with have had a form of this experience in some ways. And we are also in a time that we have to speak about this issue. And so that's when I began really kind of losing myself. And I was quite I'm seeing names that I recognize. I was quite an outgoing child who was batting us through this we are papa, which is I guess in English you aren't going. But I became very shy. And it was very difficult for me to express myself. And I think what happens when anyone goes through that experience, especially as a child, is that it shatters the way in which you see the world and interact with the world you see yourself. And so if we say that experience maybe devalues someone, you start to have experience life in yourself as not being valuable. So that's what happened to me. And I went about my life pretending to be normal. I tried to tell someone and they didn't believe me because the man was so good looking and well dressed and charming. And so I kept it to myself for about 10 years. Up until the time where, there's a time when your stories, they saturate so much that you just can't repress it. You can't keep it in anymore. And so my story made me sick. I was working in my dream job at the time. I was a travel journalist. When I really started getting sick, and there was a whole lot of shame around it because I you should be happy. You have this dream job. What's wrong with you? Why are you complaining? Why aren't you really excited about being in this world? Which is where I was. And I started experiencing physical pain. So I had migraine headaches for a couple of years, from around the end of 2012 till around 2016, or all of 2016, really. They went away in 2017. But I then also became, if I wasn't at work, I was sleeping. I was just I could sleep for 12 hours and then, wake up and maybe do a little something, maybe eat and then go back to sleep again until I had to go back to work. And I just was longing for home. I was longing for the pain to stop, the physical pain, but also I come from a family that's very disconnected. I didn't have someone where I can be like, I wrote an email, in fact, to my family saying, I think there's something that's not quite right with me. And I was living with my sister at the time. And I was just trying to say that if anything happened, I would want you more than just my sister to me. But, everyone's kind of caught up in their own things. I was suspicious of what I was going through, but I didn't grow up in a family that observed our cultural ritual ceremonies. And so no one in the family could help me identify what I was experiencing. And then another trigger warning, I then tried to take my own life. And that was an intense experience. But then after, being in, I ended up in a mental health facility, and I was there for 2 weeks. But within that time, I experienced all kinds of miracles and like magic in the hospital. And that's when I decided that I needed to lean into what I knew was calling me, which was my ancestral calling. But also what saved me from, I guess, the shame and the largeness of such an attempt was that after I left hospital, I was able to go and have a medicine journey, my first experience with a medicine journey. And that kind of showed me the truth of everything from an ego's perspective as well, as instead of like sinking into shame and guilt and yeah.
Sure.
So, and then I surrendered into my calling, which was about a year and a half with 3 different teachers. I started in Eastern Cape, Itsolo, which is a very cold place next to Lesotho. And yeah, it was, I mean, barefoot for the whole time, which was a piece in itself. And yeah, I made the divinity within myself and other aspects of this reality. I forgave myself. And so twice that means to blossom in Isxhosa. And so that's what then began happening, is I began to blossom. And yeah, from there the art came, which is the image you shared at the beginning. And then within that, allowing the art to speak through me, I was asked to fill in for someone who unfortunately had a miscarriage for the TEDx talk. TEDx talk offering that I gave.
Yeah.
And yeah, usually people get 3 months and they're speaking coach, but it happened in 4 days. And again, that's spirit, right? It's like when your song is ready to be. Yeah. So I'll stop there for now, but that is the general journey that I've had in this life.
Thank you for sharing your story. Everyone's story deserves to have a voice and to be heard and held with such tenderness. So thank you. I took notes because there were so many powerful things that you said. The largeness of what you've experienced, and one thing I noted on here was when you said the word trauma, it's an experience that changes you. And I think sometimes we try to judge our trauma based on someone and maybe not attend to our own feelings because it may not have the same magnitude as perhaps someone else. But what we experience is a shift within our body that shatters is a perceived trauma. And I love that you noted that. There are a number of women on today who are with me, and I feel like they're here to hold me because this is the month of mothers. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's also the month that my mother chose to end her life. And I have shared that with you. And there are 2 people on here who went through this process with me. And I'm so grateful that you guys are here today. And so what I have learned through that experience has really rattled me. I went into my own form of deep sadness and into those caves, and found light. I was able to open my eyes to hope and see all the love that surrounded me. And I know I wouldn't be the person I am today had I not experienced that event. So much. It has helped my gifts, my song come to life and have a voice. And I don't know if this is what you experienced, but what I have realized throughout my life is that I also work as a birth doula. And so I hold this state of transition that a woman goes through, that with every death, there is a birth. With every birth, there is a death. right? And so as friends, as sisters, as women, can we hold those states of transition from death to birth, right? And what I've seen with at least with suicidal energy or suicidal ideations, is that so often we may not necessarily want to end our life, the soul's life, but we want to end the state that we're living in. Right? We want that state, that version of ourselves at that moment to die. And you have found that birth through that state. And so again, it's that huge transition. I see it with women. It's that huge transition of like leaving that maid and becoming that mother. It's of, I will no longer be this person anymore. So there is this death to bring this birth into the world, right? To bring this new life, right? And this is part of this cycle of life that we experience. And so I just wanted to add that, because I really feel this. I think right now our culture collectively is really struggling over the past few years, especially when we're looking, at our young ones and that community. And I think it's important to understand that we don't have to physically end our life to end a state or a version of ourselves, that we can reconnect and be held and find our gifts through our darkness. And I truly believe it's sometimes through those darkest moments that we're able to see, right? That crack us open, that are the crises that allow us those gifts. I know for me, it was imperative with my mother. I believe she felt very alone in her world. And I chose to cultivate and create a family where I could give and receive love and friendships, and I nurture those. Many of them are on this call because of that. And I know I am grounded in those relationships, whether sometimes I ask for help or not. I know I'm held. Like I have that strong net, this invisible net of support within me at all times. Like I know that, and I knew that importance, and I knew the importance of showing up for my friends when they need help. Right? That was a gift that I don't think my mother had. I don't think that sisterhood family, that she really had that connection. And the gift of so this gift with my friendships, and then the gift of being able to hold transitions, those states, without being so afraid. My daughter was recently going through a really rough time about a year ago. And I said, nothing that you're experiencing is too much for me. Like I can hold this. And I'm not afraid of what you're going through. And this is important that we go through this together. And that I think it's important that we all know this, and know this in our bones, that we have people across the world who will listen and hold us and help us see the light and find our song.
And be the mothers that we might never have had,
Yeah.
Even if it's just not.
Yeah. Yes.
What was your mother's name?
Beth. B-E-T-H. Beth.
Beth. I hope she's resting peacefully. And thank you for bringing her into the circle. And thank you for sharing all of that. I think you touched on so many key things. I think one, just the last bit about your daughter is, I think so many of us are aching for someone to lean in when it's hard for us, when we don't know whether we're coming or going. And as I'm just imagining your mother's transitioning and everyone who galvanized around you, and what a gift that is. And it is a gift, and not everyone has that as well, and which is, I guess, also when you say you have people across the world, you can get that from other people. Um, I think what's really concerning during these times is that so many of us, so many people aren't willing to be, and so we kind of choke on our pain and our aloneness. And I think in our context, our family systems were systematically broken, and so there's distance between us, between mother and child, even mother and daughter, and we've kind of grown up within very different times. A lot of us are still kind of waking up to the fact that we've been almost like our energies are mined, as I'm speaking as myself as a Black woman within the context of a Black family. And I'm kind of having to learn that um, you know, people aren't entitled to my energy. But that's the kind of condition you grow up in. And it makes me think about, you as the sacred doula, which is such important work. Thank you for the work that you're doing, but also how we don't have enough doulas within the spaces and the passages where we need doulas. So we start menstruating and no one is there to tell us and celebrate with us and show us that it's not a curse and it's not dirty and it's not all of these things. And I think this is that renaissance with us womb women, those of us with wombs, to be like, we're going to do things differently. We're going to try our hardest to make sure that women and boys in their own way, all of us, like this thing of shame and guilt and silence doesn't follow us. And when you mentioned, even a woman becoming a mother, how I think that can also that might be a trauma we don't talk about enough. How you're a woman and then you become a mother, and then the woman is kind of like, I mean, this is not the case with everyone, but it feels like there needs to be a kind of rite of passage that we thank the maiden, we thank the woman that brought the mother up until that point. Yeah, so I've forgotten the other point that I wanted to make, but I hate, and the doula just sticks out so much to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and for those of you who that language may be a little new, a maiden is an archetypal name for the phase in our life before motherhood, if that's chosen, as the fertile young woman. Always think of the maiden as, she's dancing through the flower fields. And I think as exactly what you're saying, when we're transitioning to these new phases of our life, whether it's mothering a child or mothering a career or mothering a gift, a hobby, is that there is this grief, a period of grief and sadness of this other version and time in our life. And our culture hasn't typically given us support and ceremony to honor that sadness that may come, and just to hold that, not to say, oh, but look, you have all this now, but that's not it. We need to feel the feels. We need to feel what we need to feel, and be sad about that time in our life now, transforming. And then, what we see it with motherhood, and when women start to step in to, as their children are growing older. I'm approaching menopause right now. And so for me, as I'm less needed by my children, and I'm really stepping into the other archetypal goddess would be the crone, the wise crone, who may no longer be fertile to give birth, but is now like so fertile to give their gifts. And I think what's so interesting, is that So I talk a lot about how our body, and you said this, how our body will try to express itself emotionally, physically, energetically for healing, because our body is constantly trying to make us whole and in homeostasis. And so the only way our physical body can do that is to give it symptoms or signals to say, hey, this needs attention. Like, are you on your path? Are you listening? Are you listening to your purpose here on this earth? And for you, you said you were experiencing this sickness, right? That helped crack you open. And I think it's so very important. But what I think is so interesting is that after menopause, which is a woman's last cycle, the leading cause of death for women after menopause is heart disease. And I think this is very important. I don't think this is a coincidence, because I think what's so important as we reach this stage in our life cycle is to really start tuning in. What is our heart's desire? What is our purpose here? What makes our heartbeat after we've listened to the heartbeat of so many others for so many years? Really tuning in, what is our heartbeat? And can we start to express that? Can we sing that song? This may be hard for some people to hear, but my mother was 49 when she committed suicide, and she shot herself in the heart. This was a big message for me, and a big message for me personally, for me to teach women about the menopausal progression, and how important the message that you give other women in the space that you're holding, how important it is that we find our heart's desire and we start to share that with the world. Like, it is necessary. This is why we're here. Again, another gift of gratitude for something that was, very painful for me to experience. But again, honoring and celebrating these transitional times as new opportunities and potentials and possibilities, without shame, without guilt, moving through that forgiveness and then developing that trust of self. Oh, I'm not hearing you. Can we hear?
That's the. Oh, I thought you could hear me the entire time. I like the word you use, necessary. I think, some things we don't realize. We think they're not that important, but they're actually necessary next to breathing. So yeah, I think that singing your song is part of breathing through all your energetic bodies, and letting the soul breathe, letting the spirit breathe. I like also how you're using the word cycle, because it's also, I think, such a fundamental part of the human experience, whether you're human actually and all sentient beings, because cycles is that just how the world works, whether it's moving seasons, cycles through the seasons. We're the only ones that when it's fall, we refuse to let our leaves fall away. But also every month we go through a cycle, and a lot of us don't even realize what our seasons are when we are in our winter and during month, when springtime is, and this is a time now to create and work. Instead, that's also the colonized human, right? So we constantly forcing ourselves out of our natural state. So coming back into the cycle, the natural rhythm of how we're supposed to be, particularly as women. And when you spoke about your mom and you spoke about the heart, I feel like there are so many books that we still have to access in understanding what the heart really is. I just have to think about being in pain sometimes and how you can actually feel the heart breaking. But then as you expand and as you heal and as you allow yourself to forgive yourself and see yourself, how all these chambers open up within your heart as well, And so speaking about cycles, we have that points us to the womb, right? It's like, oh, there's a mechanism within our system that says this is how to feel, this is how to navigate the world. This is when you need to go into your cave. But I also believe that what has happened is that our heart has been disconnected from the womb, because the womb will be telling the heart, well, both of them speak together. But a lot of us rely too much on the mind, but the mind is supposed to take instruction from the womb heart. And yeah, so I just wanted to highlight that cycle within ourselves, the living, breathing cycle. And it's the cycle of our emotions also, right? That's I think is what womb wisdom and work is as well, is to be able to bow at your own emotions and feelings and at your own feet and be like, okay, this is where I am. I'm a mess. I don't know if I'm coming or going. Okay, that's fine. What do I need? Okay, I just need a blanket. I need a blanket. I need to, and allowing yourself that. And then that's the easier way and cycle into the next thing, because you've fully received and evolved through the cycle that called you at that time. Yeah, so womb, and of course, it's womb, heart, hand. It's like from the African perspective, and I think it's actually everyone, cosmic perspective. We were given the mind for a reason, but the mind should work with the hands and should work with our hearts, the womb heart, and that's the ecosystem of physical business. So yeah, the word cycle just really spoke to me as you were speaking.
I would love if you would, if this would be okay, if perhaps you could take us through just a collective breath together before we get off our call today. Um, I would like to ask if anyone has any questions for Vuyi while we're here. She is a phenomenal poet and artist, and you had recently shared something that shook me the other day. It said they won't believe in your gifts until you do. And I know so many of us have so many things that we want to share, and we're just still feel so silenced or afraid of judgment or parental or societal expectations that we're still clinging to, and that so many of our gifts are still yet to be sung. Our songs have yet to be sung and shared because of that fear or that lack of trust in self. I know that one just deeply spoke with me because of that self-doubt that sometimes I still carry. But if anyone has any questions for Vuyi, please put that in the chat. I will say that she is on Instagram. We'll put a link and send a message to everyone on how to connect with you, as well as I would love to share your TED Talk that drew me to you. And she does individual work, womb work that she's speaking of, the womb heart wisdom, and connecting to ancestors, and your work is so important. Is there anything we like during your time of practice that you did that you feel was most beneficial for you?
I also just wanted to add that I have a course coming up later on in the year, and that's a journey for healing the wounds of sexual violation, if anyone felt called to that. And the next season of my work is more of group work, just because I think profound healing happens in the group. Okay, so I think for me the most important tool or solution for healing, or really learning to accept myself, was number one, my stories. Our stories matter, and a lot of us feel that our stories don't matter because we think our story need to be related to someone else. But looking at my own story and really seeing it for what it is, and allowing myself to kind of go there if I need to. Maybe I need to go and have a conversation or sit with the 8-year-old, but to actually look at your stories, because we chose them, right? We designed this experience ourselves. So to just look at your story and say, why, and what was it that you wanted to teach me? Maybe that's too triggering. Maybe you just want to just sit with the story, but to actually excavate your own experience, and you slowly then begin to find belonging in those stories. So for me, I work a lot with stories because I feel that that's where the alchemy is, and a lot of our stories actually, yeah, they dim our light, and that's when our songs and our voices start to kind of retreat, So that's the one thing. The second thing is guarding that voice in the head. So self-talk. For me, self-talk and self-love is the most important thing. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not necessarily a bubble bath, but it's, that cycles when you feel like weeping and being like, okay, maybe that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
And so I tell myself sometimes, no, it's okay when I'm, spiraling or something. It's okay, it's okay, Vuyi, it's fine. I'm here, and to be that voice that we might have needed when we were young. So I think those are my two ones. And they unlock many other things, right? Then the last one I want to add is to use your voice. And this is even if it's just humming to yourself in the shower, but to use your voice consciously and say, I'm going to use my voice to soothe myself or to pray over myself. The first, we sing lullabies to children when they're born. And when a child is an embryo, the voice and the sexual organs are actually connected. So you're like singing over yourself through all the meridians right down to your root chakra and sexual organs. So actually using the frequency and vibration of your voice to send blessings over your ocean body. Yeah, that's what I do.
So that's everyone's heart work today, is to sing, hum out loud, whatever is accessible. Before we close, could you maybe take us through just a moment to breathe together, maybe connect to our womb and heart, just in gratitude for this time that we got to share together and to share our stories, and hopefully inspire others to do the same, or at least be soothed by the words spoken today.
You get a tool from the toolkit. Is that a question or?
Thinking over myself, all over my meridians. Yes. Thank you.
So I want to sing a little bit over all of us tonight. You're very welcome. So thank you everyone for being here. I just want to close with my mouth, with my words. I'm not going to say anything else after this. I just would like to ask for your permission, everyone who's listening, to kind of receive what I'm about to offer. Allow yourself, give yourself permission to receive it in whatever way it needs to be. Surrender into your breath and into yourself and into your body. Close your eyes, lie down if you need to. And make a decision, we are here as witness, so make a decision about the thing that you've been wanting to decide over, and know that we are holding you in that with you. So that's what Peyton, I honor you. Thank you. Thank you for your story. Thank you for growing into your voice and into your work. Makwande, we say, may you continue to prosper.
Mekwade?
Makwande.
Makwande. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being an outlet for me to speak my voice, for all of you to hear me today and to be able to exercise that. Thank you so much.
Okay. So just dropping into our breath. Dropping into our diaphragm, sacred womb spaces. where our ancient voice, beyond just a voice, but that place where our purpose, our light and songs, breathing into space. Just make intentions to arrive within the space, within your group, this place that holds so much of our shame, so much of our guilt, so much of our insecurities, this place that imprisons the dreams that we have. Just going to invite you to breathe in, imagining that there's gold liquid entering through the crown chakra. Imagining now that the golden liquid is floating down through your crown chakra, allowing the wisdoms and supportive energies of the sky, whatever name to the grandfather energy, entering through your crown chakra, illuminating third eye, moving down towards your mouth, loosening your tongue, loosening your jaws, loosening your tongue and loosening your jaws so that you might be able to start opening your mouth to use it. Allowing that liquid now to move down towards your throat, loosening all the words and truth that have been stuck there within your throat for too long. Making the intention for this liquid to set you, allowing this golden liquid, this love of this masculine energy to move down towards the chamber of your heart, itching towards the heart, filling it up, asking the heart now what kind of support it needs from the grand healed grandfather energies, from masculine energy, allowing it to merge now, consume with the wisdom, your sacred heart, and allowing her to interact with energy, with cosmic energy. Moving down now, allow the liquid to move down towards your solar plexus. Removing any mistruths about any ribs or any shame around being a woman. Moving down towards your womb chakra, allowing energies of the heart to fill you up, allowing the golden liquid to move down towards sacral, your roots chakra, allowing this golden liquid to dance with it, allowing it to soothe and lift and hold any judgment that's there, any outdated belief patterns, smiling over this sacred area, real name using words, our vagina, our vulva, our uterus, everything, celebrating it and allowing this golden energy to move it. Any negative energies to be moved down now towards the thighs, each thigh moving down towards the knees, into the legs, into the ankles, into the feet. And allowing all that you're willing to let go of now to be absorbed by our mother into the ambiotic fluid of Mother Earth's womb. Allow yourself to be held. Give yourself permission to receive, holding, loving, to be lifted up. And allow all of it to move past the layers of the earth, burying it, putting it down. Allow yourself to breathe things that you can carry. Take a deep breath in, taking in the energies in from the earth. Noticing now what seeds are lying there in the earth ready for you to receive. Pick up the ones that you're ready to pick up. Perhaps you're ready to use your voice, speak your truth, love your body. Pick the seeds up that are meant for you and take another deep breath and bring them back up towards your feet. They're yours. They're yours, they're yours, they belong to you. Moving through the soles of the feet, through your legs, the precious legs, the base chakra, and into the womb, placing the seeds gently, patiently, intention, faith, knowing and trusting that Mother Earth has got your back and that these seeds have been planted. Take a deep breath in and breathe back up into your diaphragm, to your solar plexus, to the heart chamber, to your throat. Faith again that you are ready to speak your voice and own your stories, and allowing that energy and intention and prayers to move past your jaws, loosening completely your tongue into your crown, into your third eyes, pineal gland, and moving into your crown chakra. Allowing yourself to connect with what's above, raising your arms up in surrender, in welcoming the energies, allowing them to move from beneath you up towards the skies to merge with the cosmos, the stars, the central sun, and allowing all of those energies to move within, between your paternal and maternal side, masculine and feminine, bringing hands back together, prayer position at your heart, just whispering to yourself a little prayer for what you're ready to call in, just noting or observing what's come up. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission. It's time now. And we are so excited to receive gifts. We'll be here waiting to support you as you do. Mama, Ashe, to the thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. Send blessings upon you and look forward to you joining us next time. Be well. We thank you. Such deep gratitude for the space you have today, for the wisdom. I'll make sure to share with everyone your offerings and how to reach you. And thank you. So nice to see your beautiful smiling face and to do this together. Mhm. We stay connected. Thank you all.
Till
All righty. Take care.
next time.
Until next time.
Sibule.
Mhm.